The Deep Stone Crypt has finally been broken into by the Guardians, and today we will begin to explore its stories and secrets. From nuclear crashing spaceships to the creation of new Fallen Exos, things are definitely going to get crazy, so thanks for tuning in, and let's get right into it.
It's no longer a secret what lies within the Deep Stone Crypt. The living embodiment of darkness. My grandfather desired eternal life. He searched and searched, but in the end, he created it instead. The Guardians that entered the Deep Stone Crypt brought new life to the long-dormant machines of Europa. They carry with them knowledge long thought lost. Now is our chance to seize it.
The Deep Stone Crypt, the place where Clovis Bray built the Exos, the place where countless dark experiments took place. Today we'll break down what happened in the raid story-wise and touch on a few subjects more in depth. Now there'll probably be a lot of smaller facts in there that could be made into other videos soon, so be sure to subscribe for that. But let's talk about the big idea here. What was the point of the raid in the Deep Stone Crypt and what the heck was going on? So the raid starts on Europa, then you go to a space station, an AI threatens to nuke Europa, you stop it, you crash onto Europa, and then save the day. So that's the short rundown, but let's talk about how all of this happens. The Fallen here on Europa have already integrated themselves not only with the darkness, but with some of Clovis Bray's technology like we see in the Technocrat mission and the Empire Hunt. So you can kind of put two and two together. The Fallen have found the Deep Stone Crypt and even converted some of their ranks into Fallen Exos. In the raid you will encounter some of these different Fallen Exo bosses, but let's start with how and why we encounter these enemies. How did they get to that point? So the Beyond Light campaign essentially told us that Aramis and her Fallen have found the Deep Stone Crypt. After things start going south and we begin thinning out their ranks, she tells Atrax to retreat to the crypt and to prepare the body. They will begin making Fallen Exos.
Praxis and Phylax are dead. We must retaliate! Atrax. Critus and I can handle this. Return to the crypt and prepare the body.
The raid itself begins when the stranger is alerted that the Fallen have broken into the crypt and the Guardians are sent in to stop the altercation. The Deep Stone Crypt is on Europa of course, so the Guardians head into the action through an entrance near the Eventide ruins.
Aramis found it. The Deep Stone Crypt. The birthplace of the Exo. And a prison for something sinister. Her followers intend to make use of it, to unleash a chaos they do not understand. Their success means untamed power beyond their wildest dreams. They must be stopped.
The first step involved shutting down the security system, which ends up working pretty nice, but also has some consequences like awakening the Clovis Bray AI in the process. For those that don't know, Clovis Bray put himself into an exo body, but also made himself an AI at the Deep Stone Crypt and Europa, which you've probably seen if you've done the Exotic Sword mission. Next, something pretty cool and crazy happens if you've played the raid. The Guardians then head up to space, or an orbital space station hovering above Europa called the Morning Star. This encounter is really cool. There's some jump puzzles around the area. Outside of the ship you can see the amazing skybox created by Bungie with the Fallen catches and ships in the distance there. And this specific ship served a couple of purposes. The first one was, well, it was the Clovis Bray research facility, and also it was his spaceship. And two, it's a nuclear bomb. So yeah, Clovis Bray programmed a failsafe measure, so if the vault was breached by something that wasn't supposed to get in, the ship could nuke Europa by crashing into it, or at least into the vault. So you guessed it, that was the next thing on the Guardians list, stopping the nuclear ship from exploding, which would decimate Europa in the process. One of the first bosses we come across is in fact Atrix 1, the new Fallen Exo. It appears they have retreated to the crypt like Aramis asked and became something new. So the goal here was to stop Taniks, to stop all of these Fallen from reaching the crypt. So after fighting Atrix, you will go through one of the best jumping puzzles in a raid to date with this beautiful scenery created by Bungie. After that, at the other end of the ship, you'll encounter a Fallen we've seen many times before in Taniks. At this point, the ship is about to detonate and you have to stop these nuclear charges from going off while trying to take out Taniks in the process. With the nuclear detonation disabled, the Morningstar still crashes into Europa, but more safely I guess, as things aren't going to be nuked. This just ended up leaving a bunch of debris and rubble scattered across the landscape. Out of this wreckage emerged a version of Taniks, Taniks the Abomination. The same filthy Taniks we've slayed over and over again since Destiny 1 is now a shank boy and he's exofied. When the raid is finished and Taniks is slain, the stranger speaks to us about the darkness, the Fallen, and the crypt.
We must all face the consequences of our struggle for power. For Aramis, the Deep Stone Crypt provided another grasp at darkness. But firm it was not. Their loss is our gain. For the deepest secrets of Europa are now within our grasp.
So the Fallen are stopped for now at the crypt, but it seems Aramis could still find a way to come back in future content given some of the lines of the Empire hunts. Most people think she is still alive. Could there be something with an exo body going on there? We're still unsure, but most things point to her coming back at some point. We also know that this invasion of the crypt seemed to reawaken the Clovis AI, which had been dormant for centuries after the Stranger and Clovis One turned it off a while back.
Artificial intelligence activated. Who in the hell do you think you are?
Excuse me?
The Deep Stone Crypt has stood for centuries without intervention. From the ether, your people swoop in and destroy my work without thought.
The raid also opened up the Lament quest, which is where we go talk to this Exo head, and if you haven't experienced that, there's guides in the channel and a bunch of lore talking about that as well. So here's the roundup if you just want the summary. The Fallen in Beyond Light's campaign found the Deep Stone Crypt, the place Clovis Bray built to create all the Exos. They then began to break in, attempting to turn some of their own ranks into Exos, and succeeded in creating Atrix 1 and Taniks the Abomination, perhaps some others along the way as well, just not seen in the raid. The Guardians were then sent in to stop security protocols, board a nuclear spaceship that was going to destroy Europa, and infiltrate the crypt itself to stop the Fallen once and for all. The Deep Stone Crypt is the source of the darkness Clovis Bray used to create the Exos, as seen here from this statue. He called it Clarity, and it came from Clarity Control. Next to Clarity, there's also that Vex fluid obtained from that portal in the Glassway strike, which was how the Exos were made. That Vex fluid with Clarity together in the Deep Stone Crypt. This was the purpose of the crypt itself, creating the Exos. Anyway, Guardians, I hope you enjoyed this video. That was a brief summary roundup of the lore involved with the Deep Stone Crypt Raid. If you'd like to see some more awesome videos like who Clovis One actually is, some guides on where to find all these shards, dead exo bodies, and also some future lore videos like Anna and the Stranger, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, have an amazing day, and I'll catch you Guardians in the next one.